The Intergalactic Academy of Cognitive and Behavioral Studies floated in silent orbit around the blue star Valtrian. It was a place where the smartest beings from hundreds of worlds came to learn how life behaved across the galaxy. Inside its shining silver halls, voices of many species echoed, chirps, clicks, hums, and tones of all kinds. But today, something was different. A strange kind of excitement moved through the corridors. Students whispered to each other, some curious, some nervous. They had heard a rumor that the Academy had accepted a being from a death world. That word alone sent shivers down many spines. Death worlds were planets so wild, so hostile that life had to fight every day just to survive. Few species born there ever reached civilization. Fewer still were allowed to leave. Yet somehow, one such creature had not only left its deadly home, but had also been invited to study among the civilized. His name was Liam Carter, a human from Earth. When Liam walked into the lecture hall that morning, all conversation stopped. Every student turned to look at him. He looked ordinary. No claws, no armor, no shimmering skin. Just a tall figure in a simple gray uniform carrying a small data pad. His brown hair was short, his blue eyes calm. He smiled politely as he passed the rows of alien students. Some flinched back, others stared in fascination. Professor Cathal, the insectoid instructor with 6 shining eyes and 4 delicate hands, buzzed softly to greet him. "Ah, Mr. Carter, please take a seat. Today's lesson will be most enlightening." Liam nodded, choosing a seat near the front. He could feel dozens of alien eyes on him, studying every move he made. It didn't bother him. He had been through worse. Much worse. Trixa, a small bird-like alien with bright yellow feathers, leaned toward her classmate, a reptilian named Vrash. "Is it true what they say? That he comes from a world where storms can kill and plants can eat flesh?" Vrash's scales glittered as he hissed softly. "If that is true, then how is he still alive? No soft-skinned creature should survive such a place." Liam heard them whisper but said nothing. He simply folded his hands on his desk and waited. Professor Cathal began the lesson. "Today, my students, we will observe a controlled interaction between a sentient subject and a predator. The purpose of this experiment is to study instinctive fear responses among intelligent beings. You will monitor pulse, eye movement, and chemical stress signals." Murmurs spread through the class. Trixa tilted her head. "Professor, who will be the subject this time? The Olvian volunteer, perhaps?" Cathal's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Not today, little Trixa. Today we have a new participant, our human guest." The entire class froze. Vrash's long tail flicked in surprise. "You mean him? You want to place the Death Worlder in front of a predator?" Cathal's tone was calm. "Precisely. Humanity fascinates the scientific community. Their behavior under stress may help us understand how intelligence can evolve on hostile worlds." Liam gave a short nod. "I don't mind, Professor. I've done exposure tests before." His voice was steady without any sign of fear. The casual tone made several students uneasy. 2 security drones floated in through the rear door, carrying a large reinforced containment capsule. The glass shimmered with energy fields. Inside, something moved, a blur of silver fur and glowing eyes. A low growl rolled through the room. Trixa almost fell off her seat. "Is that a Rendak? You brought a Rendak here?" Cathal raised a claw. "Yes. The Rendak is a predator from Delta Prime. Height 2 meters, weight 160 units, bone density stronger than steel. It hunts using sound and scent." Students pressed closer to their data screens as the professor continued. "Observe carefully. Even a small movement may trigger an instinctive reaction. Mr. Carter, please step forward." Liam stood. He adjusted his uniform slightly and walked toward the containment capsule. The Rendak's eyes followed him. The creature's nostrils flared, its muscles tensed, claws scratching faintly against the glass. The air in the room grew heavy. Several species could feel the predator's presence through instinct, that deep old fear of being hunted. Trixa whispered, "He's too close. It's going to attack." But Liam didn't stop. He stopped only an arm's length away from the barrier. The Rendak growled louder, baring its fangs. Drool hit the inside of the glass as it tested the shield with its claws. The sound was horrible, metal grinding against crystal. Most students had already stepped back. Vrash hissed, "This is madness. He will panic or faint. Even our kind can barely stand this pressure." Professor Cathal watched with sharp eyes, recording data. Observe. The human's body temperature remains stable. Pulse, 68 per unit. Adrenaline response minimal. Trix's feathers trembled. But how?
That's not possible.
Liam stared straight at the Rendak. He didn't blink. His breathing was calm, deep, controlled. Slowly, he lowered himself into a sitting position in front of the creature, crossing his legs like a person meditating. The Rendak stopped pacing. It tilted its head, confused. Minutes passed. The tension in the room built until even the professor felt it. The predator's tail flicked, then slowed. Its claws retracted slightly. It let out a long exhale, a sound halfway between a growl and a sigh. Then something completely unexpected happened. The Rendak lowered its head. Not in fear, not in aggression, but in recognition. A submissive posture. The class went silent. You could have heard a single breath in that moment. The predator, one of the most dangerous creatures known to science, was submitting to a human. Brash's mouth hung open. It's bowing? Trixa stared, unable to move her wings. Why would a predator do that? Cathal's eyes widened. His instruments flickered with confirmation. The data shows no error. The Rendak's aggression response has dropped to 0. It recognizes the human not as prey, not even as a rival, but as dominant. Liam's eyes softened slightly. He didn't smile, but he spoke, his voice calm and almost gentle. It's okay. You're just doing what you were made to do. The Rendak let out a small rumbling sound, almost peaceful, and sat down behind the energy field, watching him quietly. Professor Cathal could not believe what he was seeing. He turned to the students. Record everything. This behavior defies every model of predator-prey interaction we know, Brash muttered under his breath. Maybe the human has hidden weapons. Or some chemical trick. Liam stood up and looked back at him. No tricks. I just understand it. Cathal approached carefully. Mr. Carter, what exactly happened just now? Liam looked at the Rendak again, then back at the professor. It recognized something familiar. The professor tilted his head. Familiar? How could a creature from Delta Prime recognize a human? Liam gave a small, tired smile. Because it saw what's inside us. We both come from worlds where everything tries to kill you. We both learned the same lesson. Stay calm, stay aware, and survive. The room stayed quiet for a long time. No one dared to move. Professor Cathal slowly deactivated the field sensors. This will rewrite our understanding of Deathworld species. He looked at Liam with a new kind of respect. Tell me, human, does your kind often meet such creatures on your homeworld? Liam shrugged. Not exactly like this one. But we have our share. Lions, sharks, crocodiles, bears. We learn to live with them. Trixa blinked her bright eyes. You live with predators? Liam nodded. We don't just fight them. We study them, protect them, sometimes even train them. We learned that fear is just information. What you do with it, that's what defines you. The professor's mandibles twitched in thought. Extraordinary. The bell tone echoed, signaling the end of the class. The students packed up their devices, still whispering in disbelief. Some glanced at Liam as if seeing him for the first time. As the others left, Professor Cathal called out, Mr. Carter, a moment please. Liam waited while the room emptied. The Rendak had already been transported away, still quiet, still submissive. Cathal folded his thin arms. I must ask, what did you mean by it recognized something familiar? Liam looked down at his hands. He was silent for a moment before answering. Predators know their own. The professor tilted his head again. Are you saying humans are predators? Liam looked him straight in the eyes. We are. But we learned something the others didn't. We can choose not to hunt. Cathal stared, his 6 eyes glinting with fascination. You mean? Restraint, Liam nodded. On our world, you have to decide every day when to fight and when to let go. That's what makes us human. For a long time, the professor said nothing. He just watched the human, this calm, unshaken creature from the most dangerous world in known space, and realized that the galaxy might have underestimated Earth. When Liam finally left the room, his footsteps echoed softly down the corridor. Other students stepped aside as he passed, whispering in awe. Brash muttered to his twin brother, Notek, that human. He looked at the Rendak like it was nothing. No fear, no anger, just calm. Notek nodded slowly. Maybe that's why his world made it. Maybe that's what it takes to survive a death world. Inside the now empty classroom, Professor Cathal replayed the data one more time. Heart rate steady, stress level minimal, predator aggression vanished. It was no mistake. He whispered softly to himself, "The galaxy has much to learn from Earth." And somewhere deep inside the lab section, the Rendak stirred in its holding cell. When it saw the security drone, it looked away, almost as if remembering the calm blue eyes that had met its own. It had been 3 days since the Rendak incident, but the entire academy still couldn't stop talking about it. Everywhere Liam Carter went, whispers followed. "That's him," someone would say. The predator bowed to him. He didn't even flinch. For the first time in the history of the Intergalactic Academy, one single class experiment had spread across half the galaxy. The video recordings of the humans sitting calmly before the snarling beast had been shared, studied, and debated. Some called it a miracle, others said it was faked, but no one could explain it. Liam didn't enjoy the attention. He preferred quiet corridors and empty study halls. The constant staring made him uncomfortable, but he was used to it. Humans often made others uneasy in their first meetings. Deathworld species had that effect. Professor Cathal, however, was thrilled. The insectoid scholar had received hundreds of messages from universities across the stars asking about the human experiment. He had already been invited to present the findings at the Galactic Science Council. But before that, he wanted to run one more test, and this time it would be public. "Mr. Carter," Cathal said one morning, approaching the human during breakfast in the communal dining hall, "I must speak with you about a follow-up demonstration." Liam looked up from his plate of nutrient cubes. "Another predator test?" The professor's mandibles twitched with excitement. "Not exactly. The council has requested a behavioral presentation. They wish to study the emotional effect your presence has on other species. We will not use predators this time, only volunteers." Liam nodded slowly. "So you want to put me in a room with aliens and watch what happens?" Cathal buzzed softly. "Precisely." Liam gave a small smile. "Sounds peaceful compared to home." 2 days later, the Academy's largest auditorium was full. Rows of alien scientists and students filled every seat. Drones hovered in the air, recording every moment. At the center stood a circular platform surrounded by sensors. The experiment was simple: measure how different species reacted to being near a human. Each volunteer would stand beside Liam for 1 minute, while their heart rate, stress levels, and emotional responses were recorded. The first volunteer was Trixa, the small bird-like student. She fluttered nervously as she stepped onto the platform. "It's all right," Liam said softly. "I won't bite." Her feathers puffed in embarrassment, and a few chuckles came from the audience. As she stood beside him, the sensors blinked green. Her fear level dropped, heartbeat slowed, and her voice steadied. Professor Cathal tilted his head. "Interesting. The avian species shows relaxation, not fear." The next was Vrash, the reptilian student who had doubted Liam. When he stepped up, his eyes narrowed suspiciously, but after 10 seconds his tail lowered and his scales smoothed. He wasn't afraid, he was uneasy. Cathal adjusted his lenses. Predatory species seem to experience discomfort, not calm. Why? Liam spoke quietly. "Because they can sense what I am. Something in them tells them not to test it." The experiment continued. Dozens of species stood beside the human. Some felt peaceful, others tense. The prey species, while small, fragile beings, reported feeling strangely safe. Predators, on the other hand, grew restless or respectful. By the end of the demonstration, the data was clear. Humans had a stabilizing effect on non-aggressive life forms and an intimidating presence on aggressive ones. The room buzzed with amazement. An older alien scholar with crystal-like skin stood and asked, "Human, why do some creatures fear you and others do not?" Liam thought for a moment. "Because we don't hunt for fun. We hunt for balance. Where I come from, life only works if everything keeps its place. Predators, prey, storms, fire, and they all have their part. We learn to live among danger, not above it." The scholar tilted his glowing head. "So you claim to be both predator and protector?" Liam nodded. "Yes, we can destroy, but we also build. We can fight, but we also heal. We carry both sides inside us. That's what makes us human." Silence filled the room again. For many of these beings, the idea of strength mixed with mercy was new. Their civilizations had been built on dominance or fear. The idea that a creature could have power yet choose peace was something they had never considered. Professor Cathal's eyes shone with excitement. Remarkable. Your kind does not suppress your nature, you master it. Liam gave a small laugh. Some days we try. Some days we fail. But we keep trying. A new voice came from the back of the hall. It was Dr. Relnor, a heavy reptilian scientist from the Kragan Empire. His tone was sharp. If your kind are predators, then you are dangerous. How can the galaxy trust a species that can make even the Rendak bow? Murmurs spread across the audience. Liam didn't react right away. He just looked at the Kragan with calm eyes. You don't need to trust us. You just need to understand us. Dr. Relnor crossed his thick arms. Explain then. Liam took a deep breath. On Earth, we grew up surrounded by danger. But we didn't just fight to survive. We learned empathy. Because when everything can kill you, you realize how valuable life is. Every small thing matters. That's why we explore, why we protect others. We don't want to rule the galaxy. We just don't like seeing it destroy itself. Professor Cathal turned to the crowd. You see, my colleagues? The Deathworlders are not monsters. They are the result of perfect balance between strength and wisdom. But Dr. Relnor was not convinced. Balance, you say? Then prove it. The large reptilian scientist stomped onto the platform, towering over Liam. Face me, human. Let us see what your calmness means when challenged. Gasps filled the auditorium. Cathal started forward, but Liam raised a hand. It's all right, Professor. Relnor glared down at him. I want to see fear in those eyes. Liam looked up, unblinking. You won't. For a long moment, neither moved. The air grew tense. Sensors blinked red as Relnor's heart rate spiked. But Liam's reading stayed perfectly steady. Heartbeat normal, temperature unchanged. Then, to everyone's surprise, Relnor took a step back. He couldn't explain it, but something inside him told him that pressing further would be a mistake. It wasn't magic or power. It was instinct. He muttered, See? Then he left the platform. The entire hall was silent. Every being there had just witnessed a truth they could feel but not understand. The calm human had defeated a giant without a single move. Cathal finally spoke. This must be recorded in the Academy archives. Never before have we seen such behavioral mastery. Liam only shrugged. Where I come from, staying calm keeps you alive. Losing control gets you killed. Trixa fluttered her wings, eyes wide. Is that how humans became what they are? He smiled gently. Maybe. Or maybe it's how we learned what we could be. The professor motioned for him to step aside as the data appeared on the large holographic screen. The readings showed exactly what the class had seen. Wherever the human stood, chaos became order. Fear changed to respect. Panic turned into thought. Cathal turned back to Liam. You have given us more than science today, Mr. Carter. You have given us a mirror. Liam tilted his head. A mirror? Yes, said Cathal. You showed us that true strength is not in power, but in restraint. Perhaps it is time the galaxy learned that lesson. That night, when the auditorium emptied and the stars glowed outside the great dome, Liam stood alone by the window. The blue light of Valtrian washed over his face. He could still hear the echo of the crowd, the questions, the awe. He had not come here to impress anyone. He had come to learn, and maybe to remind the galaxy that Earth was not just a death world. It was home to beings who had made peace with danger, who had learned compassion in the middle of chaos. Trixa approached quietly, her small talons tapping the floor. Liam, she said softly, I think you changed something today. He turned to her with a faint smile. Maybe. Or maybe I just reminded them that even predators can have hearts. She fluttered her wings. Do all humans think like you? He chuckled. No, some are braver. Some are kinder. Some are worse. But we all try to be better. That's what keeps us going, Trixa nodded. The galaxy will remember this day. Liam looked back at the stars. Let's hope they remember the right part. In the days that followed, the Academy published its official report. The conclusion shocked the scientific community. Humans, a cooperative apex species. Capable of predatory behavior, but guided by empathy, discipline, and social intelligence. Survival through balance, not domination. The report spread faster than any academic paper in history. Many species changed their policies toward Earth. Some opened trade. Others invited humans to join research missions. Professor Cathal received awards and invitations. But when he stood before the council to present his findings, he said one simple thing. The galaxy thought humanity survived because of strength. They were wrong. Humanity survived because they learned to be kind, even when kindness was dangerous. The council chamber went quiet. Then slowly, one by one, they applauded. Back at the academy, Liam continued his studies quietly. He didn't care for fame or praise. When new students asked him about the Rendak incident, he only smiled and said, it was just another day in class. But deep down, he knew something had changed. Not just in the way aliens saw humans, but in how they saw themselves. For the first time, the galaxy understood that true civilization was not about erasing one's wild nature, but about mastering it. And the lesson had come not from a god, not from a philosopher, but from a man who simply stayed Scifi,